Dogan,
Here.
Gorman,
Here.
Hurst,
Here.
Mervicka, Pappas, Wasson,
Here. And then, do we have any public comment?
We will in a second after we do a private agenda.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. Could we do, so I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now, do we have any public comment? I don't think we do. I didn't get any slips. Okay, we will move on to the special presentation. Go ahead.
That's us. Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Brian Barnhart. I'm an associate with School Exec Connect. This is Kevin O'Mara. Kevin will introduce himself in a few minutes. I've been an associate with School Exec Connect for double-digit years, but through that, my experience, I was a school superintendent in Western Springs for 22 years and a principal there in the same district for 3 years prior to that. So that's some of my Illinois experience. Kevin will share his previous education experience as well, also a retired superintendent. So we are very pleased to have a chance to present to you and talk to you about your future leadership here in the district. I'm going to just go there.
I know how to do that.
Excellent. So we know that you are talking to many firms and you're talking to really qualified firms. School Exec Connect, I think, really rises towards the top of that. We've been around for more than a couple of decades, over 600 successful searches. One of the strengths of School Exec Connect, speaking from an associate standpoint, Kevin owns the company, so he has a different view, and you'll hear more about that, but that's one of the important things is why he is here tonight. We have consultants all through the country, mainly in the Midwest, and we will, as we talk about the search process, one of the things we will rely on is that network of School Exec Connect consultants, because we talk all the time, we share great leadership possibilities with one another, and that's one of the real strengths of SEC. You can see a couple of things as you work down the bullets. Every search has been completed on time and within budget. That is really, really important for over 2 decades worth of searches, 600 searches, 97% success rate, and you can see the definition as far as good standing with the school board after the first contract. That is pretty well unheard of in the sector and something we're very proud of. And then when the time is right, we're happy to share a broad list of references of folks who we've worked with in the past. From a search plan, Kevin will dive into some of the details, but one of the really important pieces from our vantage point, we'll open the search process, but that second step of creating the candidate profile is really the important part. In fact, we were having a little bit of offline conversation with some of the members of the community who are here. We will conduct a lot of the success of our searches happens right at the beginning. And that is, we're going to work very directly with you. We'll treat the school board as a subsector of the community. We'll talk with you in great detail as far as attributes that you're looking for in the next leader, but we're going to extend that and have the exact same conversation with community, parents, and staff. Like we will go out and we will meet with those folks, invite them to public forums, and we want to hear the truth. We want to hear what people are looking for in that next leader, as well as we will put an online survey together that'll reside on our websites, and we will collect that data. We'll take all of that and we'll create a profile on what you tell us, what the community is looking for in the next leader. We will present that right back to you. Through that process, it's not sequential because we will be doing this as we are collecting that data. We will develop the candidate pool. Kevin will talk about how not only will we advertise to get people coming to us, we will go out, and this is where we use our network, and we will go find leaders as well. We will recruit those folks. And then kind of one of our last formal steps with you, although we're with you the entire step of the way, is we will put a slate together for you to begin the interview process. And our job is to make your job really tough because we're going to give you multiple great candidates that you're going to have to select from. Our search process, again, without going into crazy detail, it's just a summary of what I just said. We will advertise locally and nationally. We will engage the community, as we talked about, with both those focus groups and the online survey. We will do the aggressive recruiting. One of our biggest jobs then is that screening and interviewing. Typically, we will see 18 to 25 people face to face, and we'll try to put a slate together, typically of 6 to 8 people for you. We'll present that slate. We will support to whatever levels, and this is feedback we will look for from you. We will support the interview process all the way through to whatever level you feel best and feel most comfortable with. We will screen the candidates to make sure that you're getting folks who ought to be considered for leadership in the district. And then we will provide guarantees of the search process that will be part of what Kevin will lead off as well. Kind of off-script piece, we're both West Suburban, Southwest Suburban former superintendents. We certainly would love to partner with you in this process. Part of this is professional, like we're interested. Some of it is personal. One of the things that was an attraction when Kevin called me to see if I would be interested, I grew up in a town of 4,000 in Ohio. We had one traffic light, and my dad was the superintendent there for 21 years. I know what stability means. I know what strong leadership means. I know what transparency and communication look like in all settings, and I know how important it'll be here in Burlington. So there's a personal draw for me, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. With that, Dr. O'Mara.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you all. I'm Kevin O'Mara. I'm the president and co-owner of the firm. I've been doing searches with School Exec Connect for 15 years now. A little bit of my background, I was a high school math teacher and chair of the department in Northwest Suburban Chicago and Lyden Township High Schools. Then I became a principal at Ridgewood High School in Norwich. I was there for 8 years as a high school principal. And then my last 9 years as in PK 12 education was as a school superintendent at Argo Community High School, again in the southwest suburbs. I left that job, became a full-time associate professor at Concordia University, which used to be Concordia College. I helped run their doctorate programs and run their licensure programs for their superintendent licensure. So I'm still very, very involved. And as Brian touched on, we bring a lot of professionalism here. I'm a math guy. A lot of our interaction with people, both in the survey and the focus groups and the open forums that Brian referenced. We have a methodology that's quite proprietary. The average superintendent term in the United States right now is 3.2 years. Our average term for superintendent replace is 6.7 years. No one can touch that number. As Brian talked about, 97% success rate. That's the percentage of superintendents that we place with school districts that receive a second contract offer. That's unheard of in this industry. And it's because what you need and what the candidates bring have to fit exactly. Every district is unique. Burlington is unique. We'll find the right person for you. Our guarantees, again, are unheard of. That's why we put them up there, because they're very rarely invoked. In the event the first slate of candidates does not meet your expectations, we'll reopen the search. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. We'll reopen the search until you're satisfied with the slate of candidates that you are interviewing. If your candidate resigns or is dismissed or leaves for any reason with the first 24 months of that person being placed, we do the search for free, another search for you for free. Again, a lot of firms do guarantees of 1 year or something like that. We don't care if it's their choice or your choice. If they leave within the first 24 months, we do another search for you for free, except for expenses. And we won't recruit your candidate we place with you in their first 2 contracts. So again, our guarantees are unheard of, and we take that very, very importantly, because we rely on our expertise and our passion for education to allow that to take place. Cost associated with the search is $16,500 for the fee itself. Our expenses won't exceed $2,200. That's usually mileage and copying and things like that. Advertising, we'll talk with you about that. If we're chosen at the planning meeting, we'll give you a lot of details about what we feel works and what doesn't work as far as advertising. And then we always recommend that the one finalist that we choose have a criminal and tort liability background check to make sure there's nothing in the background that we haven't uncovered in our own due diligence. And there's very rarely something that comes up, but we think that's a good marker that you have demonstrated to the community that you don't want someone who perhaps has an old arrest in their record. We'll figure that out much before that. The timeline is think of this as pencil. If we open the search in June, we could start doing the profile development with our focus groups and our survey, and we open forms in September. After Labor Day, we want to make sure the school year starts. And then you have somebody selected by November. I don't know if you guys go to the III conference or not, but that's usually kind of our marker for this first round of finalists. So if we can get you some candidates in early November, you could probably sign a contract by mid-November with a candidate that would start in July of 2026. Having said that, let's say you guys put your heads together and you say, hey, Kevin and Brian, we want to have somebody ready to go by December 1st. We'll walk in the door here and become permanent superintendent. No offense. We go back. We can adjust the timeline any way you want to. We'll talk about those things in a planning meeting. But these are all your decisions. We have suggestions, but these are all your decisions to make. Before I turn over to questions, I'm going to turn it over to Brian to talk to you about one feature that perhaps you might be interested in.
Yeah, one of the good decisions you made as you started moving forward was hiring Kyle and Griff to be your interim superintendents, to bring stability, professionalism, all of that to the district. I think that was really wise. Long time, let's be clear, Kyle and I were long-term colleagues, District 101, District 102 in Lyons Township, and Griff's grandkids went through my district. So we know each other really well. Ask them all the questions when, everybody leaves and find out the real stuff and only listen to the good things. That's the first thing. But with that comes only a few months of experience in the community and in the district. And we know that, we've tried to keep up with the happenings in the district. We know you've also had a loss of some other key leaders here recently in the last handful of days. We can certainly, they're very able, but we can assist in that search, that piece of the search process as well. We'll talk fees and all that kind of stuff at the appropriate time if that's the wish of the board. But we know that's really, really important, and we understand the timeliness of hiring principals, given the fact that it's mid-June. We can assist with that as well.
And we've done over 120 principal searches in the past 3 or 4 years, so we're very used to that. If you need an interim high school principal, I'm happy to have a discussion with you about that. We want to make sure you have the right leadership to help your students move forward in this world. The second feature I wanted to highlight as well is that because our process is proprietary, we depend on the board's permission to engage stakeholders in a wide variety of methodology. We want, like Brian talked about, community members. We want parents. We want staff, administrators, teachers, non-certificated staff. Brian left out my favorite group to talk to, and that's the high school students. They know what's going on here more than perhaps people think that they do. But we'll designate them as a stakeholder group as well. Happy to take whatever questions you might have.
Gentlemen, thank you for that. One question, I've asked this of some of the other companies who we've spoken to. You mentioned surveys that you'd roll out to the community, if I understand correctly, to help with a profile and what people are looking for. Can you give me just a couple examples of what you might be, the kinds of questions you might be asking in that survey, or what you're trying to get to?
We use, like I said, a proprietary
Okay.
survey that's determined to be what's called a forced choice survey. So we may ask survey takers to answer a series of questions on their perception of the district. I feel that we have strong leadership in our middle school. Strongly agree to strongly disagree, no opinion. I feel that our students have the curriculum they need to be successful in their lives. Strongly agree to strongly disagree. We ask about 40 to 50 questions. There are some open response options at the end as well. So if somebody has an opinion that they want us to hear confidentially, we want to divulge that to the board, we will take it into account as we develop the profile. And those are the kinds of questions we're talking about. I don't have a list in front of me, but it's a forced choice survey that we feel works very, very well to make sure that fit is what you need to do to be successful.
Right. The only thing I would add is we ask about characteristics of the successful leader in the community. We also ask, what are the perceptions of strengths and weaknesses currently within the district? And why we ask those in part is we are looking for big, broad themes, because we're going to hold these forums, and you probably, if you get people at your board meetings, you probably know who's going to show at your board meetings. Like, we want representation in the focus groups, but we're going to get a wider swath via the surveys, and we are really looking for those themes, and we're going to give you back the themes. The one off, the two off, the three off comments probably will not make it unless there's something extraordinary that you at least should hear. That won't make the profile, because you're looking for that broad perspective from the community. That's part of that.
Looking for themes, and we have IT people in the firm that make sure that a person can only take the survey once, no matter where they are or what they're, because you don't want to hear the same voice 100 times. Well, maybe you do. We don't.
Thank you,
We have
Jim.
those protections built in. I hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
One question I had was, you mentioned the average term for superintendents nationally, and
3.2.
Illinois, I think I've heard, is like 2.8.
That's right.
It's actually less, and
That's right.
in Illinois, it appears to be kind of a transient position, obviously, given the low tenure, sometimes not even through the first contract. What do you guys feel separates you guys from the others that's driving your retention, that 6-year average, that multiple contract? Like,
What makes us so successful is a variety of things. One is that I only bring people on board at School Exec Connect who I believe have the right passion for this role, which is critically important. And yes, we do charge a fee and we do make money, don't get me wrong. But Brian and I and the other 67 people in the firm do this because we think it's super, super important that kids and families have the right opportunities moving forward. And that means that we have to get the fit right. And if that fit is right, those people typically want to stay, and the board and the community and the kids and the teachers and staff want them to stay. When those two elements are in place, because of all the background work that we do with stakeholder groups, you're going to have a good fit probably for a long time. And our guarantees reflect that.
Yeah, it is fit, and it really starts with what you all tell us, you as a board, and then what we get from the stakeholders, because we're taking that to the prospective candidates that we have. It really is about fit two ways. That is, I think, the key difference.
The American Association of School Administrators, which is the largest professional education group in the United States, asked us the last couple of years, last year in San Diego, this year in New Orleans, to present on our methodology. Why are our numbers so good? We broke down the numbers for the other superintendents in the group there. I probably shouldn't have shared all that information, but it's because we do it right, and B, we do it with passion.
thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Can I ask
time.
a question?
Yeah,
When do
absolutely.
you think you will make a decision on what firm you're going to go with?
We're going to discuss it tonight, hopefully tonight. If not, then we'll probably table it until Monday.
If you make a decision tonight, and it's us, my cell phone number is on my card that I gave to every board member.
Awesome.
I really appreciate your time. We want to get this right. You guys need us to get it right. So if given the opportunity, we won't let you down.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Good to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks.
I know
They're out there.
Never mind.
came in
My
with me.
card's there. You can get hold of it. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. I won't come shake all the hands. Good luck to you, too. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks for
thank you.
hospitality.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Good. Would you like us just to start then?
Absolutely.
All right. I think rather than, okay, good. Rather than just show slides, we just as soon talk through this. So you have the handouts, and we'll just do really, really quick introductions. I just, to start off, I just want to say that how much we appreciate being here, and that I hope after our short presentation and questions and answers, you'll find that we have the energy, the expertise and experience to work with you and for you to find the superintendent who will be the perfect fit for this growing community. And that it is. It's been interesting to drive out here. I haven't been out here in probably 3 or 4 years, and just as you drive out, you just see enormous potential, not just for growth, but for educational excellence, and that's why we're here. And I hope you noticed on our slide presentation, our real stars were the students. Those are all your students in there that we pull off various websites and Facebook pages, because we are here first and foremost for your students, your present and your future students. I'm Max McGee. I'm the president of the firm. I've been everything from a substitute teacher to state superintendent. But what's most important, I've been doing searches since 2018. And I grew up in LaGrange, Illinois, and product of Lyons Township Public High School, and just am really committed to public education, doing searches for public education. I never tell anybody I'm a retired superintendent, because that's not my job. My job is to serve school districts and find the best leaders.
Excellent. I am Lynn Burks, 24-year school board president. I've been in your position. I've been through the process of hiring superintendents probably 5 times. It's the most important decision a school board can make. It's also a very daunting process. I'm actually a human resources executive. I spent 24 years in K-12, but also 30 years in higher education on the human resources side. It is the most important hiring decision that you can ever make. It is not something, and it's one of the reasons why that when I left the school board, because this is our job, is to serve you. We don't serve other jobs. We don't have other jobs. Our job is to serve you and support you to find the right leader at the right time that is best for Burlington Central. And so being so passionate about it, and everything is in disruption. Everything has changed. Everything since COVID has changed. So the leader you might have needed 4 years ago isn't the leader that you need today. You've been in flux. You had some interim pieces. You need stability. And you need to be able to have that leadership to be able to guide you to that next level. So I'm honored to be here. I understand and have empathy for the roles that you serve, and in this important task that you have ahead of you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Hi, good evening. My name's Carrie Fodorero. I am a retired superintendent and proud of it. 15 years as a DuPage County superintendent at an elementary school district. I too am an HR specialist. I have intense experience in that area, and I also work in higher ed. Like Lynn, and you did mention you work in higher ed, did you?
I think I did.
Did she? Okay. I should pay attention.
Just
what
30.
she does. In higher ed, I work graduate studies for educational leadership, and we usually say this at the end, but we just want to say thank you for raising your hand and stepping up to put yourself up for election to serve the kids of your community. Not sure there's too many more noble things to do in this world than to do good things for kids. So thank you for your service.
Good. Gary, you want to start, just share a little background about the firm and
Yeah,
why
so
we're the right people for the
yes,
job?
thank you, Max. HYA, Hazard, Young, and Atia. Firm was founded in 1987, so 38 years. We're pretty much the oldest firm throughout the nation, but also probably the largest firm throughout the nation. We have in the vicinity of 140 associates that work for our company from coast to coast. And when you contract with HYA, the 3 of us, would be doing your search, but then you also get access to our incredible network. Can you imagine 140 associates, and as Lynn referenced, we don't have any active superintendents in our firm because you just imagine being and Kyle knows this, being a superintendent, running a school district and then doing searches on the side. Somebody's going to get cheated. We don't do that at HYA. We make a commitment, as Lynn said, we work for you and we're going to work full time for you to get the best person to meet your needs at this time. HYA network with those 140 or so associates. We know just about every educational leader nationwide. It's pretty hard to find a candidate that someone in our network doesn't have a direct relationship or a little bit of an indirect one person off relationship with them. We have a database of candidates. We have over 6,500 applicants, people that have registered with us and say, please consider us for any superintendent searches that you believe we're qualified. So we can search that database once we do an assessment and go through our process and develop a leadership profile to look what candidates could best meet your needs. We already have a tremendous head start right there. We do a monthly newsletter. We send out over 30,000 email newsletters every month. Our website, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at our website, please do. It's hyasearch.com. It has a job posting section of that website, and if you're a superintendent or a cabinet level educational administrator, that's the place you keep an eye on if you're looking for a position. We post every opening throughout the nation on that site, so that site alone, I think per month gets about 30,000 unique hits, sometimes as high as 40 or 45,000 in a month. So people are looking at HYA and are connected with HYA, and that gives us just tremendous advantage in aggressively recruiting the very best candidates to meet your needs. We have a brick and mortar office. We are a true professional search firm. We're not in someone's basement or in somebody's garage. We're all virtual. We have an office and it's staffed. There's people there during the business hours. We have people in IT to provide support. We have a truly technical advantage compared to other search firms are out there, and you get a handful of retired superintendents, good people, and so on, and say, let's do searches. We've been doing this for 38 years, and we believe we're very, very successful. In your paperwork, there's also a list of searches done by other search firms, and some of them you might be considering. And the reason we show this is that we truly are in a different league when it comes to number of searches nationwide. We average right now 80 searches a year. We've done well over 1,600 superintendent searches. This is not new to us. We're a very seasoned professional company that does the right thing for school districts.
And if I can add to that,
Of course.
and this 140 associates across the country, we're a community of practice. So every search we learn things. And so we get together and we share feedback about what we're seeing in districts, how we can strengthen our services, how we can better serve you as school boards. And so we are literally connected, and so you not only get us as your team, but you have an entire support network that we really do truly grow and learn and evolve from each other.
So all the firms have about the same process, but as we go through this quickly, we'll talk about how ours differs from that. So I'm going to ask you to start with engage, and then I'll do the recruit and selection, and Carrie, you can do the transition piece.
So we believe the most important part is engaging with your stakeholders. And this is what we customize this process. And so through our proposal, you saw that there was a survey. You all then input on that survey. It's a standard-based survey that is at research standards with reliability and it has statistical rigor there. We also complement that survey with focus groups, stakeholder groups, one-on-one interviews with each one of you. We tour your schools. We want to go into the classrooms. We want to see how the kids interact with one another. We want to see the culture firsthand. It's not about finding you the best leader in the country. It's about finding you the right leader at this right time. And so we spend an incredible time in this engage phase, and we deploy robust research-based practices, both qualitative and quantitative, to be able to develop something that we call leadership profile. And that leadership profile guides you as a board in terms of your priorities. It's a wonderfully healthy process as well, because then it can form a strategic plan. It can also inform board goals. The report that you will get from us, from our engage phase, is extremely robust, that have multiple purposes. And we take the time to also interact with your stakeholders and get their opinions to ensure their voice is part of this process, that is also really healthy.
Good, thanks. As you mentioned, the survey, that's all your survey. And that's a distinguishing difference. Most firms just have off the shelf, here's something that we use for everyone. We don't. Your survey is your survey, and we work with you to develop all the questions. So you can ask whatever you want, and some of them are about superintendent's characteristics, qualifications. Others are about state of the district issues, your strategic plan, whatever. But as we move into the recruit phase, Carrie mentioned just a few moments ago about our website. The reason we get so many hits is because we list everybody's job. We list our competitor's job. And it's like that old movie, Miracle on 34th Street. You know, the guy, hey, you don't have this at Macy's, Santa sends you over across the street to, Gimbals or whatever it was. Because we think it's important to serve the profession, and also it's a good draw for people, honestly. Most of our candidates will come not just through a standard application, but they'll come through our survey and through recruiting. So when we talk about aggressive recruiting, we mean aggressive recruiting. We go out, we find people. When we interview each of you, we ask you, hey, do you know any names we should think about? When we interview your staff, anybody you know you've heard of that we should try to recruit. And we pursue each and every one of those leads. We also, once we get those leads and get the applications in, and you decide what goes into those applications, we have a standard application format. Our preference is to see what you want. Do you want a resume, a cover letter? Do you want a 90-second video? Do you want an essay? Do you want an example of a work product? Whatever you want, we will put in there. And when we put that on our website, we'll also put in, along with a leadership profile, which we use to recruit candidates, and which we use to screen candidates. But you can put on anything that you want on that. You want to put your strategic plan up there for folks to see, we'll do that. So that's what we talk about, what distinguishes us as this whole customization business. You know, my middle school granddaughter can get, customized Converse bejeweled tennis shoes, in 48 hours. So we certainly ought to be able to give you a customized search, and that's what we intend to do. I think another thing that we do differently when after we recruit people and get their applications, we put them into a board portal. You get to see every applicant. You get to see every applicant's paperwork. So you're not just relying on us. We will bring you a slate of people we think are the best fit based on the leadership profile, but you get to see every single one of those candidates. And so when we come to you, after we have done our interviewing, our background screening, all that we do, when we've done through our analysis, when we've done our matching, we've used our rubrics, and we'll bring you 5 or 6 people we think are the best fit. It is not unusual for boards to say, yeah, we like 1 through 5, but what about 8 and 9? Can we interview them? Or can we replace 3 and 4 with 8 and 9? That, again, we'll work with you and for you, and I think that's another distinguishing difference.
And just if I can add, when we bring you your first slate of candidates, we screen them at such a high level, we truly believe that all on that first slate can do the job. So we don't just give you like, 2 good candidates and we just throw in a couple other candidates to make it seem like we provided you. That slate that we deliver to you, we believe they can be your next superintendent. So that's, we use SHRM standards to screen them as well.
Explain what that is.
Oh,
I had to ask her.
Society of Human Resources Society, which is the standard of human resources, talent acquisition, recruiting. It is the highest standard that all institutions, actually, private and public, kind of use as a North Star. So that's how robust our practices are, and so that's how serious we are about that first slate.
So then it comes to the select phase, which is where you do the interviewing. So that generally boards do a first round and a second round. We help supply interview questions, scenarios, based on, again, that leadership profile. We don't think it's worth anybody's time to say, hey, what's your greatest strength? What's your greatest weakness? Because my greatest weakness is really a strength, those standard answers you get. So we like to make the questions and scenarios based on what we found in the leadership profile, what we heard from you in interviews, and then we provide a list of look-fors, bullet points that we hope you're finding in there. And we also give you a rubric so you can rate every candidate. Again, this is all customized to your search. For the second round of interviews, and we sit with you during the interviews if you like. Some boards just prefer to do it themselves, but we like to be in there. We'll help facilitate that process where you narrow it from 5, 6, 7 down to 2 or 3 finalists. And then for the finalists, we'll work with you on whatever you want to do for those final interviews. Some boards just want to do the interviews. Others want to spend them a day and a half, 2 days in the district, meeting with all kinds of different groups. And again, what we'll hear from your constituents, we'll hear from you what you want that final process to look like. We will not recommend who you choose. That is your decision. We'll bring you people that we think are a good choice. We'll help facilitate the process, but it is your call. So, Carrie, you want to very quickly talk about transition phase, and then I think in the rest of the slides, there's a timeline and a pricing structure. We can open up for questions after that, but just what we do in the transition phase.
Yeah, and so our job doesn't stop once you select a superintendent and you approve a superintendent. We're there to support you and support your new superintendent. Our timeline, which we'll go over in a minute, has you landing in December or January to select your new superintendent. That gives a 6-month runway for a very nice transition. We will meet to develop that foundational relationship between you and the new superintendent. We'll go through a workshop so the board and the superintendent fully understand each other's roles and respects that. And then we'll work on priorities. We'll base those priorities on the search that we just did, talking to you and talking to all of your stakeholders in the community. We will help develop a 100-day plan with you and for that superintendent, obviously with the superintendent's input, and we will support that person as they go through that. We want to do everything possible so when July 1 comes, this person has the greatest chance, not just for success, but for maximum input, a maximum impact for your school district. We will help you develop goals so you can evaluate that superintendent for the upcoming year. And when July 1 comes around, we don't go away either. You're part of our network then. And you are always welcome to reach out to us, and we will reach out and check with you, and we will definitely reach out and check with your new superintendent. We didn't say this when we were talking about our company, but the 3 of us are very personal individuals. We love what we do. We're readily available to you anytime during this process or after the process 3 years from now. You can call any of us up on our cell phones. We sleep with our cell phones. By the way. And we'll pick up. You shoot us a text or you send us an email and you're gonna get an instant response. You're not gonna get somebody calling you back in 24 hours and so on. As your consultants, if you contract with us, we will be there for you. You'll have immediate access to us anytime you want.
And it's the reason why we have the highest longevity statistic in the industry. We have a 94% satisfaction rate, and that's over our 38-plus years. And I think our clients, we encourage you to reach out to all of our references and even those that wrote letters on our behalf, because they've been through the process with this team, and they're, and they can explain to you just the intimate relationship that we develop with you, because to make sure that these learners in Burlington Central are best served, because that's what's most important to us.
So just to wrap it up, your timeline, you're getting a great start on it. This is the perfect time.
Good start.
And, our goal is to have a superintendent have you select a superintendent before the 1st of January, give that person a long runway for transition. And it's a very doable timeline. We can start any time. In fact, if you were to ask us, do you have any questions for us? If you were to ask us that, my first question is, hey, when can we start? Because we are ready to go as soon as the contract's approved. Yeah. And with that, I think we would like to answer any and all questions.
You mentioned tenure. What is your average retention rate for superintendents that you place?
5 years?
Yeah, so our metric is if that 94% is do they get through the first contract? And I really can't tell you what the average is for the firm, but that's our measure of success. Do they get and most of the contracts are 3 years. So,
How many years, or I should say, how long will you not recruit that placed superintendent?
So our policy at HOA is 3 years. So our policy is we place a superintendent, we're not gonna look to steal your superintendent within 3 years. However, we build our business on our reputation. And after 3 years or 4 years, if we thought there was a possibility that your superintendent could do an excellent job, we would reach out to you and we would talk to you and so on. We're not in the business for the superintendents. We're in the business for the school districts. And so your relationship with us is critically important.
Thank you.
To piggyback on his question, do you guys offer a guarantee at all? And how
yes,
many
we
years
do,
is
and
that?
that may have been, that was a lot, I think our proposal was the longest one. I had a chance to read them all. So it's really the first 2 years, if the first year, no matter what. So if somebody could get sick, the superintendent, you may say, this is not a good fit, you're out the door. We'll do it for free. We'll do it for free the first 2 years if the majority of the board is still, who select the superintendent, still on the board. And the reason we do it, we say the majority of the board, because, as I'm sure you've read, there can be board elections and people run on, hey, I want my own person in, or, just a philosophical shift. And really the only cost is, there aren't any costs. If you ask us to do a full-blown engaged phase, we'll have to talk about that, but, I think I've had to do one. I did it for Roaring Fork, Colorado. We had to do one where it was a year and a half, and it was the superintendent's fault. He had deceived the board on something. And, but I think I listed Catherine Kuhlenberg as a reference. And it was kind of a similar district, so more kind of a rural suburban area, pretty far west of Denver. And it was terrible. He just was not straightforward with the board. And so I said, Catherine, we're in it for free. And obliged it.
other questions?
No, I don't have it.
Thank you very much.
Great, well, we really can't wait to get started and look forward to working with you, man. This is, I appreciate your time.
Appreciate your
Janice,
time.
very
Yeah.
safe service.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I gotta shake hands. That's the first thing I do. Jeff, nice to meet you. Andrew, pleased to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Ryan, yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Good questions.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got all the notes?
Thank you.
You wrote the notes for me. I got those. Thank you. Thank you.
Ryan and Scott, when you stood up, I saw we kind of got this uniform thing going. So Chad, nice job of
Yeah.
offsetting us.
Trying to break it up a little bit. You know, I sit in the middle.
We'll
so
call and
people
coordinate
know.
it next time.
Yeah, I looked over and chuckled at that.
I'm trying to sort through some of this here. We'll wait till Kyle gets back in.
Yeah, 100%.
So we have five.
No.
We can leave it open. It'll be fine. Leave it open. Oh, they're still standing out there? Okay, we'll give them a few minutes. Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, let them hear it might get cheaper.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I didn't understand what you're saying. Okay, so we have the five. Kathy, I won't say her last name because I don't think I can pronounce it properly.
Pezinowski?
Is that what it is? Pezinowski?
I think so.
So we had her, she was our first presentation a couple days ago. We have executive searches, we have educational leadership solutions, we have School Exec Connect, which we heard tonight, and we have HYA, which we heard last. So I guess we'll go ahead and open up for discussion on thoughts. We could take, if you want, we can take it one by one and start with first, or if you just want to share what you thought about all of them or who your top are.
I can share my top two were Kathy and the educational leadership solutions. I thought Kathy was pretty personable. I thought she offered a lot of things that, they all offered a lot of things that they'll do. I just feel like she was be right there with us and walk us through everything. I did really like the educational leadership solution as well. They had like the 2-year guarantee. I felt they were personal as well. I really liked that they would do the mentorship or the coaching for a year, which I thought was a great add-on for them.
I liked IASB just because they work with you. They were the least expensive. They weren't my top. I think School Executive Connect was my top, the first guys tonight. Short to the point, beat around the bush. They all do the same thing. Why go into it? But yeah, I mean, I thought HYA was very pricey. I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
they're
just under
10 grand more
$30,000.
than anybody
It's-
else. So,
Yes.
so I mean, that kind of puts them out just on that alone, just, you know.
Of their
I mean,
presentation, I thought they were just out of touch, and they're talking about everything except for what they really do.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I said, I thought the HYA was just a little out of touch. They were talking about everything about their business, but not what they actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of align with Scott on that. I mean, he focused on their brick and mortar building and their IT department and a lot of that stuff, which kind of leads into, I mean, if they're not as nimble, that explains why they have more of the higher price point.
Well, it seemed to, actually, my way of, I kind of agree, Chad, my takeaway was they were trying to explain why they were the most expensive.
Yeah.
You know, we've got this overhead, you know, in other words, this is why we need this. And I mean, there is a validity to that. There are certain companies that cost more than others because they have higher cost structures, but are they going to do that much better of a job for us is the question. And,
Out of this whole packet and
I
everything.
can't see that.
Whole packet and everything they said, the only thing that actually I can follow is this. Just
Yeah.
the structure of what they do, it just replicates what everybody else does.
I think the thing with HYA that I had a hard time getting around, other than the cost, was that they weren't particularly forthcoming, at least in their presentation, about guarantees around recruitment. I felt like we had to tease that out of them a little bit, whereas everybody else was really direct.
Yeah.
That was the one thing I agree with Jeff. The school exec connect gentleman would be my two. I mean, the fact that I really appreciated their presentation and the owner and they led with the guarantees. They have the longest retention. Their retention actually was longer than theirs. Their success percentage was higher, and they really focused on the right fit and retention. And I mean, if I had to pick a second, it would be the educational leadership solutions. The Nick and Gary two would probably be my.
You know, Chad, I think I agree. My top firm was School Executive Connect. I felt like they understood us. Their references are similar districts that they've done placements for. Were districts I looked at and said, okay, that seems like a good fit. That feels compatible. I felt like they did their homework. I liked the aspects of them. I mean, they were very upfront with guarantees. I liked that. Many of them talked about training superintendents, but I liked what they had to say there. And I liked how they led with real specifics. They said, we're going to give you this many candidates, and there's going to be a short list of this number. You know, it's, for all we know, those numbers are pulled out of thin air, but when you hear those specifics, it gives you confidence.
And I think from a cost standpoint, if you compare, I think they were 20.
Executive, are you looking at school exec?
Yeah,
Yeah,
school
it's
exec,
16.5 plus 2,200.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I felt like you had, you know, just with costs, you had HYA on the high end, you probably had ISB on the low end, and everybody else was kind of clumped together.
And that's what's going to be my comment on the fees, like that, they're not they're not trying to be the cheapest, but they're not the high pie in the sky. And if you compare to an association, you know, and I think they're driving off of probably some of their revenue.
The dues or.
You know, the dues and stuff, so they're able to provide a smaller price point, but my concern would be is how vested is the association in Illinois, in our specific district, as opposed to, I felt like I connected more with the owner from school exec. Like,
I think they connect well with our community too.
those two guys seem.
Yeah.
Whereas ISBA was a little older,
Yeah,
as were the HYA. You
Yeah,
know? I mean, it's a connection.
You know, I felt like, you know, I mean, I'm conflicted with ISB. My understanding is that's how we found you in Griff, Kyle, right? So,
You know, it's all, but again, I think that it's with all of these firms, and you've all mentioned this, right? They're all gonna do the same types of things.
Sure.
Right, the process is basically the same thing. You've got the difference, ISB is the Illinois Association.
Yeah.
So while they have a national aspect, they're really more local here. They
Yeah.
found us,
And-
and that was found through connections, right?
And
Networking.
I think I heard, you know, from somebody else, if they really are conducting 25 concurrent searches, how do we know how much of a priority we are? That was something I actually did kind of like about Kathy. She seemed like she would be very committed to us. On the other hand, she's just one person, and what I'd want to know more about her workload and what else is on her plate, because any one person can only do so much.
Yeah. Did she mention exactly what she was working on right now? Did she say, like, what
I don't
the
remember
caseload was?
her saying if she was working with anybody else or doing any other.
I guess we don't
superintendent
know
searches.
that. It's just a concern that would come to mind.
I thought that too with one person. I mean, that's why she kept the cost lower. It's just her. So I mean,
Yeah. And at one point, you could have that dedication, that intimate, that it's all, she's all in for us. But then are there limitations compared to when you look at some of these other larger firms and the networks that they have? And, there's 67 people in this one, and he mentioned there was several in the brick and mortar guys at the end. And
I did really like Kathy's presentation. Of all the people we talked to, she was the one who held my attention the most. She definitely had the education voice to her. She had us engaged. The one thing that just bothered me a little bit with that presentation was a number of references to us as a rural school district, and while that's partially true, it partially isn't. And I wouldn't want that to be, maybe I'm reading into something too much, but I'm trying to get to, in my mind, which one of these five, when they all have good qualifications, is the right fit. And when somebody kept saying rural, well, that's true for a part of us. We also are growing, right? And I wouldn't want somebody to have their perception of what we are color who they're bringing us, if that makes sense.
So this is not easy for us, for those that are here tonight and those at home. One, thank you for joining us. If it's difficult to follow, we apologize. We saw three firms on was it Tuesday night? Monday night. And that's who we're speaking about, them, and then the two that you heard tonight. So just so everyone's aware, when we're speaking about Kathy, she was our first presenter on for this. She was fantastic. And then we heard from IASB, which was our second presenter. And then we heard from Educational Leadership Services. And then tonight, we heard from School Exec Connect and HYA. And as you can tell, we're a little bit split. Like we all liked each different firms for different reasons. So from what I'm hearing right now from everyone, we have Kathy as a number one for at least one board member. IASB as a number one for a board member.
no,
And-
not
no,
if you're
not
looking
number
at me, no.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood that one. And then we have School Exec Connect, which it sounds like
be one for me.
one for you.
Yeah.
They're my number one as well.
And I'll talk about what I thought about them. That's yours as well. Okay.
IASB would be two.
One thing I loved about School Exec Connect tonight was their guarantee. Let me just go back to my notes real quick. Their retention rate is really hard to argue with, right? When we're in this for a long haul and we really need a superintendent that's going to be with us for a long time. It's hard to argue with that. Their price isn't over the top by any consideration. And I did love, I think somebody else said it, their guarantee, and then also, not to recruit. So that's kind of where I'm at. So we have quite a few. Morgan, what do you
Well,
think?
I mean, I was late, so I didn't get to really see them, but I trust you guys. If you guys feel really strongly about them, I'm with you right there.
Anybody ready to make a motion or anything?
So it sounds like from what I hear, we already have a consensus on School Exec Connect.
I don't think we need to table it. I think we should take,
All right, we're gonna, let me get my paperwork here, and we'll move for a vote. All right. motion and a second to approve School Exec Connect as the superintendent search firm.
So moved.
Second.
And can I have a roll call, please?
Hurst,
Yes.
Marvika,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Dugan,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes.
Motion
Alright.
passes.
All right, at this time, we're going to adjourn our open session and move into a closed session. I need a motion and a second,
So moved.
Second.
and then roll call, please. Do I need to read
Marvika?
this before we do roll call? I apologize. Do I need to read this before? When we go
Pappas?
into-
Yes.
Dugan,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Hurst,
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes.